And there was one particular teacher that stood out for me very much, where she actually saw potential in me that I didn't even realize I had. And she guided me so much so in the fundamental years of my development that I became who I am right now in education. And
the aim is to provide value in a way that we feel that we've gotten a lot of value from other podcasters and so on. So we want to do the same thing, especially in the areas that we kind of grew up in, and just to show people if we can do it, you can also do it too. And this is how you can do it, because it's a calling. And one of the main things was to come and empower our schools here, because we've experienced the public schools here. We've been in a public school, we've taught in a public school, and we realized that a little bit more attention to them, and the kids can do so much more.
So I always felt grateful to her for that, and I wanted to give back to some other kid in the same way. That's why I chose education to begin with.
Okay, Dillon and Prinola, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for coming.
Great to be here.
And I was on your guys' podcast a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, it was
It
cool.
Yeah, cool.
It was very
Nice
cool.
Now we know
conversations.
what you went through sitting on the other side.
Yeah.
Exactly. And now I know what you guys went through. Does it make sense? No.
Well,
Yeah.
with the setup and
Yeah. Well,
with the carrying the
we
gear.
feel each other's vibes and we understand each
definitely.
other.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly.
So, welcome, guys. Thank you. And absolute pleasure and an honor to have you.
Same.
Thank you.
So, I look forward to our conversation. And for a record, this is also the very first 3-person interview,
No, yay.
or 2-person interview, 3 of us that
Yeah.
I've had. So if it's a little bit edgy and rough around the gills, everyone, I'm sorry. But
It is what it is.
yeah, it is what it is. So maybe we could introduce yourselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
You're gonna
we
go
can,
first,
let's
or
take a
am
bit
I?
of time.
Yeah.
Share who you are with our
I
audience.
think like
Sure,
rock,
dude.
paper, scissors.
Yeah, so I'm Dillon, and also a podcast host, and Luke was on my podcast After the Bell. And well, the reason why it's called After the Bell is because the both of us were teachers, and so we decided that we need to be able to reach different audiences, like especially with the kids and stuff, in a more AI kind of way or in more technological way, as opposed to how we're doing it in the past. So we decided, let's just, we get a podcast, we try and motivate them, and we'll try and show them that there's other ways to do things. Creativity doesn't only mean painting and you have to be, like you said the last time, and put it in a box. Show them creativity is something amazing like this, and creating content that not only directors and producers and stuff can do, but anyone can do it if you're passionate enough. So that was the whole idea of that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Prinola.
Hi, Prinola.
Yeah, so starting the podcast, so I'm basically like, can we say producer? Should we
Yeah,
say?
let's call you producer.
co-producer, yeah, and the editor behind it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I like, it's hard for me to be on camera sometimes, because I normally am behind the scenes and trying to, like you said, give the timer mark or lead to the next part. But so I always found like passion in that. I didn't even realize I liked that until I tried it out. I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like trying to put together something from, an image and piece together and make it like say a statement or put out a message out there. And like Dillon has said, our whole aim was to try and get our students involved. And it ended up becoming something where we met different groups of people and we realized there's so much of interesting stories to share around us from our hometown.
Yeah.
And that's what we wanted to put out there.
That's
The
awesome.
messages and to
Absolutely.
encourage, again, just to still encourage our students to show them how many various careers can go into, how many interests they can pursue also.
Okay.
So that was, the whole idea behind it.
Awesome. So let's not lose who you guys are. So maybe Dillon,
Yeah.
what do you love doing? So besides podcasting and starting your podcast, what things do you enjoy doing?
Well, okay, with me, like, I think sometimes I do too much
I
of
was
things.
gonna say,
Like
there's a whole
my
list
interest
there.
list.
Okay.
sometimes goes
Do
a
you
bit
want the
wide.
list right now?
Yeah, we'll go for it. We'll go for it. What do you
Okay,
like?
so firstly, like as I'm a teacher, not just for a job kind of situation. Like I know that, especially in my situation, where you only have education to count on, and you know that in some way it'll take you far in your life if you don't have anything else. And like in terms of investments, you can't just say I want to be this, I want to be a doctor, I want to be engineer without education. You can't say those things. So I focused most of my energy into the education part and being good at school. I was one of those, do extra homework and ask for assignments. And I don't know why I did that. And I see now that my personality is in such a way that when I saw YouTube was introduced, I researched bunch of different things all the time. And I guess I just like learning all the time.
Okay.
So when I teach kids, I show them that, yeah, we're learning in the classroom now, but you can learn whatever you want to learn on your own. Like, I think COVID just started that time, something around that area there. And when I talk to the kids, I don't only like teach them content, I always tell them, like, you can do other stuff. Especially now where we are now, YouTube is a very big platform. And what did you decide? I know that some of you think that you're poor and stuff. Yeah, maybe you are in your situation, you can't do anything about it now. But what you can do is, you can try and move and look at what the world is going to. Don't just go on your phone and just scroll aimlessly, which they do sometimes. Use it and try and create something that you feel that you can.
Yeah.
Then I heard one or two of these boys were saying that after school they're going to try and start a YouTube channel, and he's going to be the presenter, the other one's going to be the producer. And I was like, okay, that's what I want you to hear. I want you to show me and yourself that you are capable of doing that. And that was the whole idea, in terms of the teacher aspect. And then on the other side, I was very skinny growing up. Small frame,
skinny.
Yeah. But like really skinny, like getting sick and things like that.
Okay.
And then we decided, like, when we got married, we joined the gym, and that was like a whole other aspect of things.
Do you have to get married to join a gym, or do
That's
you?
a requirement.
Okay, that is okay.
Yeah, it makes you go there.
Okay.
Step one.
Step
Yes.
one, married first. Yeah, so we decided to, we like the gym a lot, this whole lifestyle, so let us, we'll study it and see it. So I became a personal trainer, and Prinola became a fitness instructor, because that's the lifestyle we want people to kind of pursue, because we did it and it's helping us out. And more than that, because we like the whole creator part, being a creative and all those things, we wrote a children's book and a few years ago, and that was promote critical thinking. Yeah, so doing all those things and now doing this, it just feels like there's no like one path really. And it's nice to see that, because sometimes we feel like we painted ourselves into a corner, choosing one thing, and
we
then
do.
you realize it's not always that way. Yeah.
Okay, so what I take from that is that you love knowledge and learning stuff, so education, and educating others.
Yeah, definitely.
And you enjoy working out, staying fit, looking after yourself, not being skinny and sick. And other thing I learned from that is that you got to get married in order to go to the gym. So I've been married. I've been married for 13 years and I still haven't gone to the gym. So that was not working.
It wasn't in the vows. It wasn't in the vows.
Yeah, that's you pre-written.
Oh, it wasn't in the vows.
You have to write it in. Yeah, some way.
Vibes, eh? Sure. And Prinola, could you tell us, what do you love doing?
Well, again, education. I think Dillon and I met in university, so it was University of KwaZulu-Natal, so it was Edgewood campus, and that's solely just for education. So that's how we actually got a chance to meet each other. And so, like, we realized we had like a very similar vision in mind, which was the initial attraction that we had to each other. So it's like very similar to what Dillon has actually said in terms of education. And for me personally, growing up, the background I had wasn't something of financial stability. So I felt as if I had some support and encouragement from teachers, and I realized that I want to be that for somebody else that may not have that anywhere else in their life. And when I was way, way younger, like I think it was, 5 or 6 years old, it was a bit tough for me with school and trying to grasp concepts. And there was one particular teacher that stood out for me very much, where she actually saw potential in me that I didn't even realize I had. And she guided me so much so in the fundamental years of my development that I became who I am right now in education, and even with how I learn. So I always felt grateful to her for that, and I wanted to give back to some other kid in the same way. So that's why I chose education to begin with. I always said to be and then when I got to high school, it was hard to find that kind of teacher because it was a bit different. So I said just to be there for somebody else that needs it.
Okay.
So that was like the driving point for me in education. And after that, it was just realizing that there's so much more out there in the world, and maybe we could just try and explore it just a bit more, because we were still a bit young in our field and our careers. And then, like Dillon said, the whole part of being a bit sick, I mean, with me, it was I was anemic. And it came to points where I think if I like stood up off this chair, everything would just get black, and I feel like I'm about to faint. And I realized something is wrong.
Yeah.
And for me, like, I know taking a pill and going to the doctor and, getting medication is the easier route, but I kind of felt like I didn't want to do that. Like, it was a temporary fix, but I wanted something more long term.
Yeah.
So that's when we decided to join the gym.
After being
Yes.
married.
After we
you got married.
yeah, we figured that part out, and then I think snowballed from there, and then I liked it a lot where I wanted to try and put that message out there, because I think being a teacher, you always have that thing of wanting to teach. So that's where the fitness instructor part came from.
Because you're an educator.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I think it just comes naturally to you to want to say, okay, let me try and see how I can help you and add value to you and to your life. So that's when I studied fitness instructor, and I think the fitness journey is still like a very big part of our lives. Like we still worry about like eating healthy, going to the gym, and it's become part of our lifestyle more than just a 3-week routine or a 1-month routine. It's just like an everyday thing as much as possible. Yeah, and now in the podcasting world, like in terms of editing, like I really like it. I know sitting there piecing, even though we see those small little streams of bits that you have to piece together with audio.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
It's too much for me.
It's something that it's something that I really like. Yeah.
Awesome.
And the children's book part again was just to put messages out there. So that was our first way of diving into the creative world.
Okay.
Of putting out a story out there.
Awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. I love seeing how people's journeys shape who they are today, whether we choose it or not.
Yeah.
And how our choices also obviously help us arrive to where we are today.
Definitely.
And that's awesome. Lovely. So now we know you guys a little bit better. Let's talk. So for Durban Small Business Podcast, you guys, so you were teaching. You've left the education system, the formal education system.
In that way, yeah.
In that way. What are you guys doing now, and how are you sustaining this?
Well, I think
Is the
being in
Minister
there-
of Home Affairs is talking today?
Oh yeah. Yeah, so I think for me personally it was like once I finished high school, I didn't take any breaks at that point. It was straight into university. The second I finished university and I graduated, I was straight into my job, and I was like working constantly for 8 years, going on to our like 9th year. And that was when we decided to actually leave the country and explore the world a bit more. So it's been like a constant work and just being in that zone of no real rest or relaxation. So I think at this point here we decided to say, let's see where our passions take us and how we can actually try and put that forward. So like working with businesses, working with obviously whatever we've saved in our time, and seeing how we can get this time to pursue that dream or that idea of what it is like.
So we gave ourselves a bit of like a time limit. I always tell you I'm on hiatus now, because as she said, we're working all the time, and I know that's how life is. But for me, I didn't want life to be that way.
Yeah.
For us, I didn't want it to be that way. I wanted to be like, if you want to take a few months off to do certain things that you like to do, you should be able to do that. It's not always easy to. We only got to this point now, and obviously we're grateful that we got to the point. So we're like, we're taking this little break now. What can we do that we always wanted to do and never had the time and we never had the means to do it? And then we're like, let's do the podcast. And then Prinola has a travel page on YouTube that she's currently working on. And we got to meet so many different people, people like you, in fact, that we never would have met if we just stayed in teaching.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You take the step in the direction that you always wanted to. And all these people come in, and it's so supportive, and it's so nice to be in a world like this, in all honesty.
Yeah.
In a community.
Yeah, it's a community.
Yeah, it is. It's. I mean, I can say the same thing for my journey, having started a podcast and delving into the world, the social media content creator world. I still wouldn't maybe call myself a content creator, but I don't know. It's such a weird concept.
It is.
But we wouldn't have met. And I can tell you, I've got a couple of close friends who are now close friends that I wouldn't have met them. And it's amazing how, it's been an absolutely amazing journey. So you guys have started a podcast, you're doing a couple of other projects. How are you, so for the guys out there who are wanting to either start a business or running their own businesses, just out of curiosity, how are you guys planning or wanting, if you're okay with sharing this, on making this thing sustainable for you guys? Because obviously you want to carry on doing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know this is a conundrum that we all have, because
definitely.
doing this type of thing takes time, it takes effort, it takes energy. It's not like, we just make it happen
Not at all.
at the click of a finger.
Yeah, not at all.
It takes huge resources.
Yeah.
It takes days of work to get an edit and all the posts out. So how are you thinking and hoping to make this sustainable for yourselves?
Yeah, so I guess what we did was to know that beyond the main plan of, we want to do the podcasting, the travel page, and, travel to a few places, we had, before that, we had another, kind of thing to do where we wanted to be with family more often. Because when we, got into schools and we were teaching, we were kind of like in our own world in where we would just, go to school, back home, mark papers and so on. Yeah. And we never used to be out with people a lot. So when we got back, we were like, let's just spend time with family a bit more. If we get to do what we want to do, again, the podcasting travel page is still there. And we want to make sure that this will actually be long lasting. So we need to establish it in a way that it's not randomly. We're not doing it randomly where we like, I'm doing it today, but next week I don't have time. I don't feel like doing it. Or oh damn, I have to put an episode. We're not doing it like that. We're trying to be like very conscious about the whole thing. Putting out episodes, thinking about the guests that we want to have on, what type of value you want to put out there. And with all those things considered, we're like, we have this money that we've made throughout our years of us working. We gave ourselves a time limit, a few months, to see that, fine, if it starts picking up, then maybe we can get all these. We can go into brand deals and stuff like that, which we haven't yet.
Yes.
But these things take time.
It's still early days.
But it's not, we can't just say, we want to just jump ship and say it's over, because it's not happening. Because this is something that we saw as a lot of potential, and we gave it a chance. But then there's always the aspect of, if it's not working out, which we don't like to get there, we'll take it a bit slower, but not to abandon it completely.
I love that. Absolutely love it. And why would you want to take it slower rather than abandon it?
So now, if it doesn't start, money is important. You have to sustain all these things.
You got to buy eggs, and eggs cost a house apparently.
Apparently.
That's
latest. All that. Yeah. So because of that reason, now we're like, if we start seeing months go by, and it goes by in the way that we don't meet anyone in the podcasting world, we don't travel to places, we're not getting good traction, then we'll slow it down very much, so we can teach, because that's what we love doing. We can get back into the classroom, easily. But then with the slowing down part, maybe we could know that maybe the frequency of posting is not the same, but the idea and concept is still there.
It's still like a passion.
Yeah.
It's the thing. I don't think something will ever really lose or just forget about completely, because the whole drive behind it was for us to take the time to do something we were thinking about for so long, because this was like years in the making. It wasn't just like one day, okay, let's go do this now. Let's travel the world. Or let's start a podcast. It was like building up. And when you have a vision, and it's I think every person deserves to see their vision come forward. So we worked on a plan to say, how can we get ourselves there financially, so we can at least have that time limit and that amount of what's what I'm looking for, financial resources to go into it.
Yeah.
So it was like years in the making before this past year.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So the importance of, so you're saying it's for you, the importance of slowing it down rather than giving it up is because you've actually been working hard towards this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you don't just want to say, oh crap, this this isn't working.
Yeah.
Let's just throw the baby out with the bathwater and we're done.
Yeah. Because
Okay.
it's not about just, coming into something like this and, making money instantly.
Yeah.
That's not the aim. The aim is to provide value in a way that we feel that we've gotten a lot of value from other podcasters and so on. So we want to do the same thing, especially in the areas that we kind of grew up in, and just to show people, if we can do it, you can also do it too, and this is how you can do it.
Yeah.
And
so
there's
that's
a lot
the
of
thing.
people around us that can.
Exactly.
To show everyone else that also.
I think there's a lot of planning in terms of, we have to have those hard conversations, like we need to take a few months a break, go back into teaching or not go back into teaching. So it's still kind of like,
we're still trying to figure it out
it's
also.
still,
Because I still love teaching. I still love being in the classroom. I do miss it.
Yeah.
But I also love this. So it's like trying to find the balance of how do we juggle both of them, like, very sustainably, and also making sure that neither suffers from it. So yeah, we're there right now.
But that's why I'm asking the questions, because I think, and I'm sure you guys have experienced, but I've experienced it where, all these people see you on Instagram, on YouTube, and they think you've got it.
Mm.
You're like,
Yeah.
you guys have got yeah, in a sense we've got it by the very fact that we're doing it.
Yeah, we're doing it, exactly.
But it doesn't mean that it's not gnarly and
Yeah.
it's
Oh, yeah.
not like it's
Yeah.
a slug or you thinking, how can we sustain this thing?
Exactly.
So,
That's
I mean,
true.
that's why I'm asking the questions, because I don't ever want to paint the picture for content creators
Oh yeah.
that we've got it and life's a
Like
breeze now.
instantly.
Not
yeah.
at all.
It's hard work.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, you guys are saying you're going to get to a point where you're going to need to make some decisions.
Yeah.
And I love hearing that you don't want to make the decision to just can the whole thing
Yeah.
because it
Exactly.
didn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
that wasn't the aim.
Things that are worth doing
Mm.
are worth the hard work for.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
I definitely
We do
get the
feel
hard
that.
work part.
Yeah.
The hard work,
Oh.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So can you share with us a little bit? So you've got the podcast side of things that you're busy on.
Yeah.
Can you share some of the other projects that you're working on? I know you're
Yeah.
doing some stuff into the schools,
Yes.
which is very exciting.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe share a little bit of that with us.
Yeah. So
Share the vision.
So, like we said, being in education, we're coming from both perspectives of being a teacher and also observing students. So, and also having like an international background also right now of seeing how it's done in other countries.
Mm.
And we realize that here, we may lack some resources, we may lack some funding, but what we do currently have, let's make use of that. And the world is going forward with the entire AI model right now. And if our kids don't get on that, they will get left behind. And we don't want that.
Yeah.
Because we want to provide opportunities for everybody to grow and to thrive, regardless of what backgrounds they come from.
Yeah.
So this project we started off was education using AI and how we can actually use the tools to make lives better for both teachers and for students.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. So basically, the whole idea was, and even when we were down here, we implemented in our schools in a small way, like a beta test, kind of, just to see how it works. And from what we noticed, it did work quite well because the students were really responsive, especially when COVID started and they felt like they were not learning. So they would come on to Google Classroom, what we were using, and they would ask if there's any assignments, any assessments, are we writing a test, is there homework? They would actually be proactive in that. And seeing that gave us the idea that kids actually do want to learn.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't want to learn all the time, but they do want to learn. They want to know that there is some type of learning. And if we are the teachers, the authority of learning in the classroom, then maybe the best place to learn is from us. So our main aim was to now bring it to, as she was saying with the AI, just show teachers it's not a scary word. Artificial intelligence sounds scary, the way we put it too sometimes, but
Yeah.
we
It's
can
just
use
robots.
it.
That's the perception.
Yeah, we can use it to empower ourselves in the best ways possible. So if you want to train teachers now to show them that kids are using TikTok often, we can't tell them that phones are banned, because when they go home, what you said in the classroom now, you told them something about a volcano that erupted 10 years ago, and they went and fact checked you and you found out that you were wrong because you're reading off a textbook. Then your authority now kind of diminishes in the eyes of the student because they know more than you in a way. And that happens quite often. So we want to show them that, yeah, these kids are using TikTok, they're using YouTube, they're using Instagram and all these other platforms. This is how we can use it to kind of still impart knowledge to them.
Yeah. Love it.
That's
So it's just about
amazing.
integrating. How can we integrate these technologies that we
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
into the way we teach and we educate, rather than
Exactly.
pushing it off and saying,
it doesn't exist.
yeah,
It's
it doesn't.
evil.
In our
Yeah.
world, it doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We can't.
Between 7:30 and
Yeah.
1:30, when that's after the bell, then it exists.
It exists,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very
That's not
interesting.
the- yeah.
So I mean, how do you see or think that we could integrate technologies like, I don't know, ChatGPT into the educational space as an example? I mean, there's so many tools and things
Yeah,
out
yeah,
there.
yeah.
But how would you guys, how would you approach it? How do you think we could
Yeah.
use these technologies in the
So-
education space?
You go to the teacher part.
Yeah, I'll take this part. So with ChatGPT being so new and fresh, and it's always developing and is getting scarier by the minute. In fact, they say the next version will have an IQ of 1600. Right? So right now it's smarter than Einstein, and it's going to get
Way
smarter
smarter.
all the time.
Yeah.
So we didn't want a position where kids are left behind in terms of jobs and so on. So we said, let's use it in the classroom. These things can do so much in terms of summarizing and essays and all of that. Now, if you're a teacher, Luke, and you don't know ChatGPT, you give an assignment of, let's say, geography. That's my subject. You give a topic like, how does climate change impact underdeveloping countries, right, or underdeveloped countries? The kid can go use ChatGPT, write the entire thing, give it to you, and you're like, this is amazing, because you don't know ChatGPT. And then the kid gets the mark, but the other kid that doesn't have access, doesn't know about it, right? So normal, just using the intelligence, using a textbook maybe, and then you read that, you're like, this is not up to, it's not that, I mean, the grammar is not correct, the way they wrote things, they didn't really link this idea to that idea. I'm going to give you 50 out of 100, but the other kid got 80 out of 100. Already the unfairness is starting. But if you were empowered and you knew how to use ChatGPT, you'll be able to tell, this kid didn't write this in this way. Nobody, we're not saying that somebody wrote it for them, like another person, but how did you get these ideas? How did you use it? So this is where like schools now have to have policies to kind of like control the use of that. And the teachers can have like certain tools to identify, because there are other apps that you can identify the use of ChatGPT. So
And then looking at the teacher perspective, so us being in the world, we know exactly how inundating it can become, because you've got your personal admin, then you've got your classes to teach, sometimes maybe intervention or even extracurricular activities, extra classes. So it becomes a lot for one person to actually deal with. And then you've got your own personal life and your family life. So putting all that together, now you have this one person that could sometimes just crumble with their workload, depending on the number of kids you've got in your classroom or the number of classes you have to teach in a day. So we also wanted to make it a bit easier for teachers, where we could say, okay, here's an idea. Let's say that you may be a bit tired today and you don't have an idea of what activities to give or homework. Go on ChatGPT, go on Google Bard, and you can quickly type something out, get it out there for the students, upload it to Google Classroom. So there's also the paper that's being minimized, so you're not really, running down and photocopying and having issues with that.
Name with the photocopy room.
Exactly. The photocopy room. Oh my God.
Exactly.
Something always gets jammed or stuck in there. But so it becomes quick and easy, and the kid can go home. The parent has access to it. You've got access to it. It's direct communication between all three parties. So that's what we wanted to try and inculcate. So it's easier for the teacher. They can identify it. The parent is involved. Total transparency. Management is involved. So basically trying to make things so much more easier and efficient, so you get the time for your own personal self-care, and also the time just to become a better person of yourself for you, for your students, and for everyone else around you.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how are you approaching schools and trying to kind of sell this program or this thing that you guys are doing?
Yes.
How are you doing this?
So we developed a workshop. The workshop, like, just overview what AI is, what these tools are, and how to use it for teachers and how to use it for learners. The entire workshop. So where we actually will go to schools and train teachers that don't really have the necessary skills yet, or as maybe they were scared or whatever it is, to show them how easy it is firstly, and how they can use this in their classroom, and it'll benefit them and the student at the same time. So that's the whole idea, to train teachers in that way.
Okay, that's awesome. And in terms of are you asking the schools to pay a certain amount to fund it, or are you just going in and doing it for free?
For now,
Okay.
So I think it's also school dependent. I mean, we're not just after this only just doing money out from it.
No, completely.
But
you got to live, and you got to pay your gym fees.
Yeah,
so.
True.
Yeah, that's a very important part.
Buy eggs.
Yeah, so there is a fee attached to it, but it's not as high as I think it would be if we probably look at other courses like online or anywhere else. So we are a bit flexible, but that also depending on the school and the situation behind it. So we're willing to.
We always wanted to impact education in a way that we're moving forward. Like we were telling some of the principals that we spoke to, when we came back down from the UK, it wasn't just to come back down and start all these things. That was the different layers of the plan. But the other part of the plan was we're educators, and we know that we don't just do this just because we wanted to get into something, but because it is kind of like a calling. You know, you don't get into teaching for the money because there isn't any. You get in because it's a calling. And one of the main things was to come and empower our schools here, because we've experienced the public schools here.
So we know
we've been in a public school, we've taught in a public school, and we realized that a little bit more attention to them, and the kids can do so much more. And we can be on the international standard. That was the whole idea of why we actually wanted to. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome. So, I mean, how could I'm assuming you'd love to get some kind of funding behind this thing.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Yeah,
How would
it would help?
For the businesses, and this is the first time I'm doing this, but for the businesses out there, and I didn't even run this by you guys, but for the businesses out there who are listening and people who are in a position to kind of get behind and fund some projects, and this resonates with them, how would you propose some kind of funding or guys to get behind you and get this project going?
Yeah, so I think the whole aim behind it, and this I think would entice a lot of people to want to get involved in, is empowerment of students. So if we find that, a textbook has a certain amount of information in there, and it's very limited in all honesty. And many times I've found, like, I've looked through a textbook that's very outdated, that has information that is not current or relevant, and the kid's like, but miss, what is this about? We don't even know what this topic is, or it's irrelevant under them. Or I have to tell them, just ignore this paragraph here, it's a bit old, it's not in our curriculum anymore, just take that off. But it's something we shouldn't be saying. But whereas if you have, let's say, in a classroom where a teacher controls technology, like let's say iPads, for example, or tablets, where a teacher has even something basic as 10, and you get like 2 kids to share one. And you say to them, okay, there, go on to Google right now, and let's Google. Okay, so I'm in the physical science world. So if I say to them, Google momentum, and look at a video on momentum, instead of just saying to them, hey, the ball is rolling right now.
Yeah.
But look
And this is why
behind the
it's
mechanics
rolling.
of why it's rolling.
Yeah.
Exactly. And sometimes some kids are visual. You find that with TikTok, social media, with YouTube and everything that we have right now, they're seeing video content all the time. So for them to actually sit there and say, okay, let's see how I can get this object to move, it's a bit difficult. And I don't blame them for that, because they didn't grow up having that, go out there and play kind of life.
Yeah, not really.
They had their phones when they were, like from the time they were younger. So it's up to us to try and find a way to balance those two out, of how we can show them using technology, using video content, using AI can help benefit their learning. And again, from the teacher perspective, how they can come up with new ideas that's relevant, current, and can relate to the students. Because I think relatability is a very big thing with learning. Because some of them just walk into the class, and if they see a teacher that's going to be, let's be honest, boring, or doesn't know as much, the knowledge base is limited, they switch off.
I'd imagine, the kids are living in 2 different worlds.
Yes.
They go home, or during break and between periods, they'll obviously, kids are going to have their phones on them. Doesn't matter how many rules you put in place.
Yeah, that's true.
We were all there.
Yeah.
But it is actually a very interesting thing, because you have these 2 worlds competing. You have the educational system and people who are so invested in this old school, pun, dad jokes, this old school way of doing it. But because it's all they've known, and it's everything that it's their whole paradigm, that they're going to hold on to this thing and protect it with everything.
Yes.
While we have this new, very tech-heavy world where the kids are going and they living in virtual worlds. They're playing games.
Exactly.
So instead of fighting it, let's see how we can integrate these worlds and help actually make the teachers' lives easier too.
That's true.
And help the kids get educated really well.
Yeah.
We homeschool, and we are looking at, and I'm thinking, geez, computers and all the stuff's not going away at any time.
No.
Like, we are becoming more the way, and whatever the opinions are on that, our way of living is becoming more and more integrated into the digital world.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
I would imagine, doing this would help the kids and the teachers, not for the sake of being integrated, but let's call it a spade, and say, actually, there's nothing we can do to change this.
Yeah.
So let's just go with it,
Yeah.
while teaching the kids how to manage themselves really well in the digital space.
That's true. Exactly.
Yeah, because the social responsibility is also a big thing. Because like at times we found that, I know sometimes I have to call students and say to them, okay, maybe don't be this kind of person on social media because it's putting out a certain image of who you are, and is that the image you want to grow old having? Because once it's there, it's hard to remove. So you may not realize it now, but what you're creating and what you're putting on there creates a lifetime impression of who you are as a person.
Yeah.
And it may not be totally you just following a trend,
Yeah.
but it just represents something that you shouldn't be involved in.
Cue personal branding.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But really, these tools, the educational system doesn't teach us how to become self-sufficient business people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And in today's age, you're either in any age, you're either an employee or you. But let's say honestly and openly in South Africa, there's very little chance of employment.
Yep.
So we should be teaching people how to become business people,
Exactly.
how to become businessmen,
Exactly.
how to become entrepreneurs. Not everyone's born that way, but let's give them the basic, the basic skills and understanding on how do you manage a budget? How do you, what are taxes?
Oh, yes.
Exactly.
How do you
The
work
Something
taxes?
simple as that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and do you find there's a huge lack in that space?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Especially like you said, the old school kind of way. And we teaching them to get a job. Go to university, get a job, and that's it. Because that was the old model of doing things.
And then spend your money at the shop.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and the cycle continues. And yeah, they did try many years ago in South Africa. We introduced EMS as a subject, Economic Management Sciences, from grade 7 to grade 9, and then you get business studies and so on. So that was to empower kids to like start their own businesses. But in schools, and from what we noticed, talking to teachers and talking to students, it's not put in the way that these subjects are so important that you can actually be an entrepreneur. It's like business studies, go and memorize a topic and write an essay.
Yeah.
It's taking it away, everything, what it's supposed to do.
Which is not what you do in real life or in the business world.
No,
you don't
not at
write
all.
essays.
No,
Exactly. We
not
don't.
at
I mean,
all.
when last did you write an essay?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Grade 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when underlining things, I know schools, they have this this mindset that you got your book as a student, at the date, the heading, you underline it, and the teachers are marking. They are said to look at those things and ring it if it's not, tell them to redo it.
Highlight it.
Yeah, all those
God.
things. But then, we coming from a place of, yes, we, like our generation especially, we're in the mid part of us using books and being important, and then now it's not important at all.
Yeah. we've
So
seen both
how do we
worlds.
now teach these kids that, your book, make sure your book is absolutely neat, it's underlined, highlighted, your diagrams are drawn in pencil,
Effort,
labeled
yeah.
in pen. And I get it looks neat, but in all fairness now, you can get an iPad and draw everything on your iPad with the pencil,
Completely.
Yeah.
type of thing.
Completely.
Even with, Samsungs and so on. There's so many different technologies to use, because the main point is for you to learn what's there, not for you to have that done neatly. So that old kind of mentality of we need to have it done in this way, just because it has always been done in that way, can't work anymore.
So are you saying that we need to be shifting our style of education from, you can learn in different ways.
Yeah.
So let's shift from this very old school way of style of learning, which
Exactly.
is very controlled and corporate and,
Yes.
it's for the corporate world
To employ you.
to
Yeah.
create people that are employable,
Yeah.
to rather saying,
It's an assembly line, actually.
yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Like
it
Henry
is. It
Ford
is.
came up with the assembly
Yeah,
line,
it's literally
9
that.
to 5
Yeah.
job.
Uniforms, belts.
Yeah.
Sirens,
Yeah,
like
I
in
will work
school we
with
have
that.
Structure.
sirens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It works perfectly.
I mean,
it works
we can,
perfectly.
we can
Exactly. Those. Yeah.
But
yeah,
does
yeah.
it work? That's the thing.
Not anymore.
I think
It
it's,
wo-
it's
it
still
works
to
falling
control the
apart.
kids.
Yes.
Definitely, yeah.
And right now, because the
definitely.
kids don't want to be controlled.
Yeah.
Because of the exposure to so much more out
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
that's why we find the education system is crumbling right now. Like we find our stats in South Africa and across the world, actually, it's dismal. Every year we keep hearing them say it's getting worse. The pass rate is decreasing. We've changed the actual percentage of pass and the requirements
The pass rate has
that are
changed.
needed for passing. It's like now, okay, you can fail a subject. We are legally allowed to add in a few marks because it may not have been your fault
Block
to get you to
adjustment
pass.
is what they
It's
call it.
actually a terminology that we
Yeah.
use in education. So probably spilling some bees we shouldn't. But anyway,
Yes, maybe it
but
needs to
It's
be
okay. I
that
would have
is-
been able to Google it.
but that's literally what happens, and it's not fair because I had this kind of debate with somebody once, and it was one of the managers in a school, because I had a student that was sitting on a 78%, and one of that 80% plus is an A, and the opposite side of the student that needed, I think, maybe 2 or 3% to pass. So that person was sitting on 26% and needed to get to 30. So my whole argument was, if I can give that student 4% to get that student to pass, why can't I get the student that had the 78 to an A so they can feel appreciated and also push them further to work harder because they've got that.
Yeah.
They've worked hard. And the whole thing eventually boiled into, I can't give the 2 extra % to the student to get the A, but the other kid had to pass.
It's about empowering the underdog only.
Yes.
Only.
Not providing balance
and
to...
exactly. So
Yeah.
we want to create that balance for every single student and give everyone a fair fighting chance, not just one way only of doing things.
Do you feel that was your guys' experience in school? So let's talk before you got into education. Do you feel like that was your experience?
Like in terms of?
Or in terms of how the education system worked for you guys?
I don't think we knew it like so much so like that because, okay, like with me, my focus was always driven in education. Like I felt that the only way I can get a career is if I do have a degree.
Okay.
So I'm not saying that it is totally wrong and somebody else shouldn't pursue it and do it.
Yeah.
Always go for whatever you feel is going to make you comfortable and secure.
Yeah.
And I will still encourage students to get a degree, in fact, because it's something that you can have. You know you've got that there. But also a chance to explore more of what type of degree you can get into.
Okay.
Yeah. I think with me, in school, sometimes I felt like the teacher that's teaching me, I can read the textbook on my own and answer the questions.
Might
I
as
don't
well,
exactly need you there. And in fact, some of the times we didn't. When the teacher was not there, there was no teacher in class. We actually, all of us just like, we used the textbook and we did what we needed to do. We did well in our tests and stuff. And there was no social media, no TikTok, no YouTube.
It's parrots.
So now, imagine you have the same teacher in the classroom with a textbook, whether they're there or not doesn't make a difference. And now you have YouTube where you can go and learn your own things. So what is the point really making that kid sit there for an hour lesson, 50 minutes, and make sure he listens to you and follows exactly what you say to do this activity now, finish these questions, go do your homework, come back the next day. He's not feeling empowered in any way.
Yeah.
In fact, he's getting bored in the classroom.
Yeah.
So if TikTok and stuff exists right now, it's not going anywhere, not that I see. In some countries it's banned, but here it's not, and people are using it.
Yeah.
Why don't we get on those platforms and tell the teachers this, when you're talking about it in classroom, make sure the student understands that yes, it's not evil, you can use it. Your phone is not evil, it's not this evil device that's attached to you and you can't do your homework and you're stuck to it, because you can learn a lot of things. A lot of things that I've learned recently, like photography and stuff, was from YouTube, platforms like that.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah.
there's a lot of good
Absolutely.
to it.
Yeah.
So we tell them when they come to school, keep your phone in your bag or leave it at the office and no contact with the outside world. But you know how much of value that device has for you. I mean, especially with us, we really appreciate those devices of ours and the internet.
And let's be honest, even as adults, we're stuck to our phones.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to check something out, you won't go to a library right now and go to an encyclopedia and look for it. You go to Google.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why
There's
would
amazing tools.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So let's
we
teach
have
the
to
kids
use
how to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's
And
show
use it
them.
responsibly, I
Yeah.
think.
Sure. That's really cool, guys. That's so awesome. I got one thing I want to do while we wind down. Time has flown because it's been so good. Before we do that, is there anything else you guys would like to add or say? Something that came burning on your heart or something that's anything?
You got a lot out of us already.
Yeah. You got the passion of
Yeah.
teaching again out.
Okay.
Of life
Okay.
choices.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I've got, you guys know Diary of a CEO?
Oh,
do you?
yeah.
Okay. So I'd like you guys, let's do one each. I'd like you
Okay.
guys to pick a card.
I'm nervous and also curious.
Yeah.
Alright. So on these cards, you guys can each pick a card. There's a question
Okay.
that you are going to answer for us.
Oh.
Okay. So maybe Prinola, you can go first. Can you read to us the question? Or I can also
Okay.
read it.
Okay, so it says, what pain do you enjoy having?
What pain do you enjoy having?
Yeah. It's by Russell Howard. I don't know if this is like physical pain or just like something that makes you feel uncomfortable.
Any
Just
pain.
pain.
Maybe something that's really difficult for you. I don't know. I'm going to leave you to
Okay,
interpret
so
that.
I have two answers for this.
Okay.
All right, so I think if it's talking about like a physical kind of aspect, in terms of pain, I like being a little bit tired because I feel like my mind can't overthink things. I can just do what I need to do. Like if
Okay.
I'm editing a video and I notice this, when I'm tired and if I have like a way of thinking of, should I try this, should I try that, should I try that? It's like 3 different ideas in my mind. But when I'm tired, I'm like, right, to go for that one there and move. And I felt like those ones actually
Okay, it helps
came
you make
out
decisions.
better. Yes, quicker. It's like, you know, that moment where you have to just make a choice then
Yeah.
and there. So, yeah, so tiredness for me will be one, and anxiety.
Do you enjoy anxiety?
So, I won't say I enjoy it, I have it, but it pushes me.
So you saying you use it
I
to
use it.
drive
yeah.
you.
So even though I'm nervous and I'm scared sometimes, I still...
You're a special kind.
Oh, no, just to say that.
I get anxiety and it's like, run!
That's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are great answers.
Yeah, I think...
Awesome.
Business.
Well done.
What's your question?
Mine is, what is the belief that you hold that most people disagree with you on?
Oh.
It's a lot. Yeah, this is by James Watt. So, with this one,
So
I was
I'm just
thinking
going to
about
repeat
it.
that. Hold on.
Yeah.
What is the belief that you hold that most people disagree with you on?
Yeah. So I thought about it when I first read it, and people disagree with a lot of things. I mean, I'm a disagreeable person sometimes, like on religion, and that's a whole other thing in itself,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know.
Next
But
episode.
I think, I think with me, it's the ability to change. Like in terms of your personality can change, or the skills that you have can change, and you can change your mind. And a lot of people feel like if you set a certain way from high school, university, or your job, and that's just who you are, and that's it, I'm done. You know, I can't do anything about it. I can't do what that guy's doing. That's not me. But there can be you, because, and recently I've started talking about this term a lot, neuroplasticity, in terms of neuroscience, where you can actually change your brain, and even spirituality talks about that. You can change the neural pathways in your brain. So if you think you're not the person to go to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning, you can become that person.
And you don't have to be married.
Exactly. It's not a requirement that time. Yeah, so would be this actually
Okay.
is a very nice one. So it's just the
Yeah, that's
ability
awesome.
to change. Yeah.
Yeah. So the belief that you have that a lot of people disagree with you on is the ability that you have the choice. You have the ability to choose to change.
To choose to change.
I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. That's awesome. And
That's a
your
good one, yeah.
your two pains that you actually enjoy having is
That was a very weird one. I mean,
tiredness,
kudos
because
for the
it helps
question.
you make clear cut
More
decisions
focused,
Yeah.
very quickly,
Oddly enough.
because then you don't have the energy to deliberate between
Yeah.
anything.
Mm.
And then also you actually enjoy having certain levels of
Yeah.
anxiety.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
That's awesome,
optimism.
guys. Those are
Yeah,
awesome
yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
That's
is
awesome.
really cool. I like
Yeah,
these
it's actually
cards.
nice.
Yeah,
Very cool.
guys, thank you so much. It's been an absolute joy having you. I've loved the convo.
Yeah, thank you for having us on.
It's
Yeah,
a
it's our
pleasure.
first time being on a podcast. It's
Yay.
amazing, actually.
Yeah.
Very different.
First. We'll
Very
just
different.
Yeah.
do a first swap.
Yeah. The crossover.
Yeah, crossover.
So, guys, if you, go check out these two beautiful people's podcast, After the Bell. You can find it on YouTube.
Yeah.
There are a couple of wrestling channels that come
There
through.
is,
But look for
definitely.
After the
Yeah.
Bell. I'll also put the links in the descriptions.
Okay, thank you for that.
And I'll make sure you guys send me all your other links because I can't keep
yeah.
up with everything. I will put everything in the description. If you guys have any questions or comments that you want to share, please leave it in the comment section. You can also go to their channels, their Instagram handles, and their YouTube channel. These guys are very interactive and they will follow up with everything you ask.
Good try.
And yeah, guys, been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Oh,
Thanks for having us. Look, it was nice to be.
Really
In fact,
cool.
starting this off, we didn't think that we'll be on a podcast and talking about these things that we love so
Awesome.
much. So it
Yeah.
actually has helped us to
Exactly.
get things off our chest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
It's like a therapy session.
It was, yeah.
100%. We should do Durban Small Business Podcast therapy
Therapy
session.
session. Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
You have like a whole line outside.
Yes. Yeah, guys. So go follow them. Go check out their podcast. It's on it's on YouTube and on all your
Spotify and
your
Apple.
Spotify, Apple, all your main platforms. While you do that, don't forget to subscribe to ours, and also go check out my interview with them. We had an interview with you
yes.
guys,
Yeah,
and it was great.
being
It was
being a
such good
creator.
fun.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, talking about being creative and
Yeah.
a creator and a whole lot of other things.
Mm.
So go share the love there and give them a like and a follow. And I think we'll wrap up there, guys.
No, thank you.
Thank you so much.
You guys happy?
Yeah, definitely.
Fist pumps. Oh, come on.
I've
Cool.
got rings on.
Guys, it was amazing.
That was really cool.